Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It's time to rank those League One clubs once again. I have already done it once this season after 6 games. You can see that video in the top corner. It did rather well by my standards, so thank you to everybody that watched that one. Why am I ranking it now? Why did I rank it after 6 games? No reason really. I just thought it would be a bit of a laugh. Some teams have played 14, some teams have played 13. The most important side of all, get that in camera, I've played 12, but why not just give it a ranking now? We'll have a look about what I did rank the teams last time and see how they're doing this time round as well. Some of them, as I say, are blooming obvious. Some of them are a bit surprising. But as always on these videos, I do put timestamps down below so you can just jump to your club and see how I've ranked it. I imagine that's how most of you will want to do it, and that's absolutely fine. And you will avoid, once again, me going over the top and talking too much about my beloved Oxford United. And you'll probably hate what I say about your club. You'll probably tell me that I don't know this and I didn't know that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't know as much about your clubs as I do about my club. But let me know down in the comments just down below. It is just for fun, unless you want to take it seriously. And in this case, it's probably the last time I'm going to do these rankings for the rest of the year. Whew, so it's really important. You've got to see how I've ranked your club for the last time in 2022. How will you possibly get on without it? But without further ado, and without wasting any more time, let's jump into it in alphabetical order as always. And it's time to start with Accrington Stanley. And look, there is everybody on the screen waiting to be ranked with so much anticipation. But I forgot to shill myself, didn't I? I forgot to shill myself to the masses. If you can hit like on this video, that's great. If you haven't subscribed and you like the content, think about subscribing. Yada, yada, yada. Let's talk about Accrington Stanley. Last time out, I gave Accrington Stanley an A, largely because they were unbeaten. So far this season, they've played 13, won 4, drawn 4, lost 5. And since the last time I did these rankings, they have won 3 and lost 5, and they've slid from 11th to 16th place. So not great little patch of form for Accrington. Goals have really dried up. They've only scored 6 in the last 8, whilst conceding 12 at the same amount of time. They've just lost 3-0 to Derby. Weird old game. McConville missed 2 penalties in that game as well. So it could have been a lot closer than what the scoreline suggested. They're beating a lot of the sides you would expect, and they're losing to a lot of the sides you would expect as well. But they're still creating lots of chances in games. They're just failing to convert. But not panic stations by any means for Accrington, but they're not in the best amount of form. So last time I gave them an A. This time it's a C. Next, we move on to Barnsley, and Barnsley are a side that are actually doing quite well and have recovered from a poor start from the season where they've gone from 16th at the time I did my last rankings up to 6. Overall, they've played 13, won 6, drawn 3, lost 4. Since the last time I've done the rankings, they've won 4, drawn 2 and lost 1. That 2-0 away win at Wednesday at Fortress Hillsborough really stands out as the pick of the results, but really Barnsley have been watertight at the back. They've only conceded 4 goals in the last 6 games, with the likes of Cundy, Anderson and Kitchen performing consistently well. It's a massive improvement and shows you that Michael Duff is starting to get his feet under the table and get those Tykes moving in the right direction, and they're right in the mix for the playoffs at the moment. It's a massive improvement. Last time out, I gave them a C. This time, Barnsley get an A. Bolton Wanderers are next, and Bolton Wanderers got a B grade from me last time. Overall in League One, they have played 13 games. Won 6, drawn 3 and lost 4. They have improved since the last time I did rankings from 10th up to 7th. But there is a lack of goals and lack of creativity going around the Uni Bowl at the moment. And it's really surprising to see a side that was so entertaining and played such good football on the front foot last season struggle to score goals and struggle to create goals. It's 3 games without a goal for Bolton Wanderers, and the fans are starting to get a little bit restless about it. In my opinion, there's not really too much to worry about. There's only so long this can carry on before it does turn the corner, I would imagine. It's far too much attacking talent with the likes of Afolayan, Charles, Bodvarsson. I don't think it's going to remain a problem for you for too long, Trotters fans. And you still get a pretty good grade from me, and that is all that matters, isn't it? You get another B grade. And from a side that are struggling to create goals and score goals to a side that have been surprisingly quite entertaining, and that is Bristol Rovers. Last time out I gave them a B as well. Overall in League One they've played 14, they've won 5, they've drawn 3 and they've lost 6, and they find themselves in 12th place. The last 8 games for the Gas have seen them win 3, drawn 2 and lose 3, but they are on a 3-game winning run. And as I said, this is quite an entertaining side that Barton's got, playing much more expansive football than you would imagine. It's quite a young side as well, which makes it quite exciting. And when you look at the stats, they've scored 22 goals, they've conceded 24 goals. So if you go and watch a Bristol Rovers game, unless you see them play against Oxford, where it was a very turgid 1-0 win, you're going to see goals, you're going to probably see some entertainment. Aaron Collins continues his fine form with 8 goals and 6 assists so far. It makes him one of League One's hottest properties, you would think. When January rolls around, maybe they might have trouble keeping him. Rovers are a side that do make the most of the chances they create in games as well, but they do need to improve at the back. But all in all, as a promoted side, they are doing very well indeed. And it's another very solid and respectable B grade for the Gas. And we come to Burton Albion, struggling Burton Albion. Last time out, I gave them a D. They didn't hardly have any points on the board last time. It's not really improved too much, but it has improved. They have played 14 games, won 2, drawn 3, lost 9, and they are trying to claw their way out of the mire. They lost to Oxford, so that means they're a terrible side. If you lose to Oxford, I mean, come on, that is a pretty benchmark of how poor teams are this season. And that did spell the end for Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. And since then, Dino Marmaria has seen the results pick up. In the last 8 games, they have won 2, drawn 2 and lost 4. And they've become a lot harder to beat. They're playing a 4-2-3-1 system, and Adebayo has been in the goals for them. There's a lot of work to do for Burton Albion, but they do also have Sam Winnall. And Sam Winnall is a guy that is a proven goal scorer at this level. He never really got off the injury room, never got out of the injury room at Oxford. He's blighted with injuries there. So if he can stay fit, and that is a big if, then Burton have another player other than Adebayo who can score goals for them. It is going to be a bit of a struggle all the way through the season, but Burton have climbed up the table a little bit, and therefore from the mire that they were in, they have improved, and I give them a move up in the rankings from a D to a C. Cambridge United were flying last time I did these rankings, and they got an A grade from me. But things have taken a bit of a turn. Overall, they have played 14 games. They've won 5, drawn 1, lost 8. They were in 7th place when I did these rankings last time, but they have slipped to 18th place. Only 2 wins and 6 defeats from the last 8 games. But most worryingly for the Fake U's is the fact they've conceded 15 goals and only scored 6 in that time. Injuries have not helped, and confidence has led to mistakes in there as well. Mark Bonner has tried a change of formation. He tried it against Sheffield Wednesday in the last game with a 3-5-2. He is hoping that will give them more possession and more control in games, and hopefully shore things up at the back. Didn't really work against Wednesday, but that isn't a great barometer of how well it is going to work, because Wednesday are one of the best sides in League One. Let's be fair about it. But you can't say anything other than it's been a shocking run for Cambridge from what they've done, and they go all the way down the scale, pretty much. They were in an A. I did give them an A last time. They're getting a D this time. Charlton Athletic got a B from me last time. So far in League One, they've played 14, won 4, drawn 7, lost 3. They've been one of the draw kings so far in League One. But I do just wonder if things are finally starting to click for the Addicts. They've had 2 very impressive performances in the last couple of weeks, especially the 3-0 win they just had over Pompey. Look, I think that Ben Garner has stumbled across playing 4-4-2 which seems to be working a lot better for them. He did that again at half-time against Oxford. They started the game with a 3-4-3 and they looked really toothless and really flat. He changed it to 4-4-2 and they were a lot better. They were a lot more on the front foot and created a lot more chances. And since then, they've kind of played with that formation, had a really good result against Exeter and a really good result against Pompey. So I can see him going to be sticking with this formation for a long time to come. And it is working well. And I think above all else, they've got a good side. And this will lift the doom and gloom around the Valley. Because it seemed very lethargic when Oxford played there. It seemed like everyone was feeling very sorry for themselves. But they're not doing too badly in the league. And I think they can improve a little bit on where they are as well. So another solid B grade from me for the Addicts. Cheltenham Town got a D from me last time. So far in League One, they've played 13 games. They've won 4, drawn 2 and lost 7. They were in 21st place the last time I did these rankings. And they've rocketed up to 20th since that time. The last 2 heavy defeats have taken the gloss off a decent recovery, though, from Wade Elliott's men. The last 7 games have seen them win 3 with 1 draw and 3 losses. So 10 points from 7 games isn't too bad. But it is going to be a really tough job for Wade Elliott to keep this side in the league. They will look at the fixture list and say their next 2 games are very winnable against Burton and against Morecambe. He'd even say they are the proverbial 6-pointers even at this early stage. Look, they're in 20th place, and at the end of the season, if they finish in 20th, that is good enough for Cheltenham Town. So, you know, they improve on my rankings from a D to a C. Derby County got an A grade from me last time. So far, they've played 12, won 6, drawn 2, lost 4. It's not quite been the piss the league status that some of their fans might have thought it's going to be, and they've actually dropped down from 6th to 9th since the last time I did these rankings. In the last 6 games they've won 3 and lost 3, and as kind of predictably Rossignol was the 4 guy. You kind of felt he was a bit out of his depth, and as soon as they did have a bit of a sketchy run of form, they would replace him, and they've replaced him with Paul Warne. Look, Paul Warne is a very experienced League One coach. He's got Rotherham promoted a couple of times. He's also got Rotherham relegated a couple of times. But I think he's a good coach for Derby to bring in. He's maybe not going to play the most exciting football in the world. He's going to set them up to be very hard to beat. And he's going to probably play a little bit more direct than you were hoping on. And I expect him to play this kind of 3-5-1-1 system that he's deployed more often. But I do think Derby will improve. He likes his side to be quite strong and quite powerful. So as I say, don't expect it to be the most amazing football in the world, but I think it's going to be effective, and I think Derby will improve under Paul Warne. I hope they do give him time. He's not going to get that luxury of time at Derby that he did get at Rotherham, where he was pretty much left to just run the club, run the Terce team, seemingly for as long as he wanted to do it, really. So big test for him, big test for Derby, but I think that we will see them improve. But at the moment, it's not been great. You have also got that situation of sides raising their game when they play against Derby. So last time I gave them an A, but it's not been that great from the Rams, and they do slide down to a C ranking, and I expect a few meltdown comments in the comment section. Exeter City were a massive surprise package the last time out. They got an A grade from me. They played 14 games, won 5, drawn 3, lost 6. And since the last time I've done rankings, they have slipped down a little bit from 9th to 11th. In the last 8 games, they've won 3, drawn 1, and lost 4. The last 2 of which were quite heavy defeats to Charlton and Oxford United. What a shock. Matt Taylor has left the club, and it's left Kevin Nicholson in temporary charge. Look, Exeter City were punching above their weight in many regards, but injuries have just started to catch up with them a little bit, and I do think they look a little bit lightweight in midfield and in defence. I thought Oxford were quite easily pressed out of possession and pressed into mistakes when we played them. Maybe that was just a bit of an off day from the response from their fans. It seemed like it was. But they do look very strong going forward. And if they can get the likes of Brown, Nombe and Stansfield into the majority of games that they play, they're going to create so many chances that they they will be a threat to a lot of sides. They're still going well. Just a little blip on the radar. I'll be interested to see what they do with the management stakes, whether they keep Nicholson in charge or go with somebody else. But I did give them an A grade last time. It's just slightly come down from that. It's going to be a B grade for the Grecians. Fleetwood Town got a B grade from me last time. The COD Army have been doing okay in League One. They've played 13 games, won 3, drawn 7, and lost 3. In the last 7 games, they've won 2, drawn 3 and lost 2. So it leaves them in 15th place overall. They're just not that exciting, really. They're doing all right. Scott Brown's doing all right. In the last few games, they've scored 11, conceded 11. So overall, sorry, I don't know where it is, but scored 11, conceded 11, which makes them kind of neither the most exciting side nor by far the worst side. So, as I say, just very solid. That 4-2-3-1 formation seems to be working very well defensively, but not really helping them with scoring goals and created chances. But you do know that when you play Fleetwood, you are going to be in for a tough game. And make no mistake, 15th place is still pretty decent for Fleetwood Town. So, based on that, they do get another B grade. Forest Green Rovers got a D from me last time. They've played 14, won 3, drawn 3, lost 8, and they remain in 21st place. The last 9 games that they've played, they've only won 2, drawn 2, and lost 5. When you look at the league, the thing that stands out is the fact they've conceded 31 goals so far. So it's absolutely clear where the problem is. They have had injuries in the back line, which meant that they've not had a settled defence all the way through the season. But whatever they've tried in their 3-5-2 or 3-1-4, 3-4-1-2 doesn't really seem to be working at either end of the field, and they're really struggling to keep possession and keep chances. So it's really just nothing's really working for this Forest Green side, and it looks like they're going to be in for a long season, and you can't give them any other grade for the vegan sensations other than another D. Ipswich Town were flying the last time I did this, and they were one of the only 2 sides that got an S rank last time out. They are still doing very well. They've just come down a little bit from those lofty heights. They've played 14 games, won 9, drawn 3 and lost 3, and they remain in 2nd place. In the last 8 games since I've done the rankings, they've won 5, drawn 1 and lost 2. And this one does come off the back of a very unlucky smash and grab 1-0 defeat at the hands of Lincoln, where it was one of those results where everything they tried just didn't work. One of those freak results, I am afraid. But the Tractor Boys do remain very consistent and I think look the real deal in terms of promotion. They're near the top of all the stats you would expect in terms of goals, shots per game, possession. And that shows them how they dominate the majority of games that they play, particularly through the middle with the likes of Harness, Chaplin and Ladapo. And defensively, they may remain very strong too, although they do look a little bit vulnerable from set pieces. Just because it's dipped off a little bit, it's still very impressive. So don't get at me, Ipswich fans. Don't berate me because I'm an Oxford fan. You think we're boring. But you're going down from an S to an A. How will you ever survive? Lincoln City are a bloody enigma and I can't work them out. They got a B from me last time. They've played 12, they've won 4, they've drawn 5 and they've lost 3. In the last 6 games, they've won 3, drawn 1 and lost 2. And they've moved from 17th place to 14th place. But they do defy the stats. I can't put a finger on how they're doing all right in League One based on the stats. And it just, you know, when I get to Oxford, you'll realise how the stats can lie. But it's clearly the case for Lincoln as well, because they're low on goals, they're low on possession, they're low on shots per game. But they've had some great wins. They've had great wins over Derby, and they've recently had a great win over Ipswich. So it shows me that Mark Kennedy has got a squad that has got a lot of discipline to it, and he's installed a great amount of discipline into this side, work rate and effort, and a side that is willing to fight for every single point, put their bodies on the line, and when they do get a chance, they're clinical and they stick it in the back of the net. Is that sustainable over the course of the season? I'm not sure, but at the moment, it's working pretty well for Lincoln City, so they'll be hoping it can continue, and I can't give them a higher grade than what they had last time, but they do get another solid B grade. Milton Keynes Dons. you know, they nearly got promoted last season. They've not shown any signs of that this season. They got a C grade from me last time. They played 13 games. They've won 3, drawn 3 and lost 8. Since I last ranked them, they've played 7. They've won 1, drawn none and lost 6. And yes, that one win did come against Oxford United in a horror show of a game, which MK Dons came out on the right side of it. But goodness me, neither side looked good at all in that one. And they're in the relegation zone. They sit in 22nd place. And they've just had an absolutely, demoralising and quite embarrassing 4-1 home defeat to Plymouth, where some of the fans were even pictured playing Connect 4 on the pitch. I mean, that's not a good look, MK Dons fans, is it? You already get a lot of criticism for being a fake club and plastic fans and all that. So don't go and play Connect 4 in the stands, especially when you're getting hammered. Yeah, it kind of just shows how they've really fallen from the heights they had last season. The style of play's really slowed down. They're not passing the ball and moving with the same purpose that they used to. And they're struggling. They're struggling to create chances. And I'm not sure Manning really knows what to do and what the best formation is to try, because he's tried several. The most recent was a 3-4-3, which, even though they lost 4-1, has given him optimism that that is the way to go forward, but that remains to be seen. And they're on a dreadful run, and they've been pretty dreadful this season. And but hey, you beat Oxford, but mainly because of that as well, you're getting a D. Got some really good clubs coming up, I promise. I promise, guys. Stick with us. We've got some really good clubs, but this isn't one of them. This is Morecambe. Do feel sorry for Morecambe. They got a D last time round. I just don't see much hope for them staying in League One this season. They've won 1 game so far. They played 13, won 1, drawn 5, lost 7. They currently sit rock bottom. Since the last time I did the rankings, they've played 7, they've won 1, drawn 2 and lost 4. In every sense of the word, it's a struggle. They don't score many goals, they don't create many chances, and they're not very good at keeping clean sheets. And they're not very good at keeping the ball as well. So there's not a lot to really pin your hat on where they're going to improve. Last year, they did have the talisman of Stockton. He's not scoring goals for them. And it's hard to really see where they're going to pick up points. But they are still scrapping. They are still fighting. But I can't give them anything. But the bottom grade, I'm afraid, it's another D for the Shrimps. Okay, it's Oxford United time. You twisted my arm. Let's do a bit of Oxford United now. I'll try not to bore you all too much with it. But I gave Oxford a D last time out. I hold them to high standards, and they've been letting me down. And they continue to be letting me down. Look, they've played 12 games. They've won 4, drawn 2, and lost 6. And since the last time we did the ranking, they've played another 6 games. They've won 2, drawn 1, and lost 3. A very terrible defeat to MK Dons. A very almost predictable 1-0 defeat against Wycombe. And it's the same old stories from Robinson, really, that we've been hearing. That we're unlucky, we've got players injured, we're having lots of chances to score, we're not taking them, and we're getting punished for our mistakes. But don't let those stats fool you. Oxford have not been good this season. They've not played good football. We've been a shadow of the side going forward than what we had last season. We haven't got much of the same pace and energy that we've had. But that being said, it has started to change a little bit. I did think it might be the end of the line for Carl Robinson when we lost to Wycombe, or the end of the line soon. But the last game we had against Exeter, and I do say that we did maybe play them at the right time, we did see some shoots of recovery. We did see some players some of the more key first-team players come back, and Oxford did put in a good performance and a good result for the first time this season. That backs up with a pretty good one against Charlton as well. Wycombe always seemed to just do us, so we'll put that one to side, as depressing as it was. And to say that there are some shoots of recovery. We've got some tough games coming up, but the way Brannigan's playing, the way McGuane's playing in midfield, you've got cause for optimism. Up front, Joseph has been scoring the goals lately. Matty Taylor is due to score some goals. And with getting Murphy and Baldock back, we certainly do have more attacking options. It's a weird one, because Oxford are at the top of a lot of the stats tables. And so their league position wouldn't make sense if you go off the stats. But there is more to it than stats. So which kind of flies in the face of everything I've said against every other club. But hey-ho, this is my club and I stand for it. But They haven't impressed me, Oxford, so much this season. And one good game, one good win doesn't make a season. And until they do start getting some wins, I can't move them any higher than another dismal D grade for my beloved U's. But I am maybe crazy, but maybe a little bit optimistic. Are you ready to talk about some good sides now? Because I am. Let's talk about Peterborough United. Overall, Peterborough have played 14, they've won 7, they've drawn 1, and they've lost 6. I gave them an A grade last time, and since the last time they've played, last time I did rankings, sorry, they've played 8, they've won 3, drawn 1, and lost 4. They still remain in 4th place. They do seem to be a bit streaky. But they are still riding high at the right end of the league. Away form seems to be the real problem for Peterborough, with 5 defeats on the road so far, and clean sheets have really dried up as well. And also as well, they do seem to fade a little bit in games. They concede a lot of late goals, which is a worrying theme for the Posh. But going forward, they still remain absolutely lethal, and with one of the, if not the best striker, one of the best strikers in League One, with Johnson Clark-Harris leading the way, as he always seems to do, with 10 goals already. Still going well, but I've got some room for improvement. So I would say you should be looking very positively in the season. You can have another blip next game against Oxford, and then you can really kick on. How about that, Peterborough fans? But I do slip you down from an A grade to a B grade, mainly because you lost to Wycombe, and that is just unacceptable, I'm afraid. And the way you lost as well, from throwing away a lead and losing 3-1. So yeah, no, you're not an A, you're a B. Let's talk about Plymouth. I'd quite like to be a Plymouth fan. It seems like it'd be quite good fun. Argyle are flying. I gave them an A last time, but they're doing even better than that this time. They've played 14 games. They've won 11, so that's the most in League One. Drawn 1 and lost 2. Since the last time I did rankings, they've played 8, won 7 and drawn 1. And they've lost none, obviously, in there. They've been spectacular. Insert the superlative for Plymouth, and you're probably not doing them justice. Recent bout of good form has come against some of the best sides in the league as well, with wins over Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich and Derby, and of course the biggest win of all over the mighty Oxford United. It's such a very exciting Pilgrim side. When I've seen some of the games, saw the game they played against Oxford, saw the game they played against Ipswich. That home crowd makes such a difference. It is such a fortress at home park. But the way they attack is what is the most exciting thing about Plymouth Argyle. It's so quick, and it's not just through pace through players being speedy, it's pace with the way they move the ball. The likes of Mumba and Edwards out wide, and the movement up front of Whittaker, Azaz and Hardy, and even Ennis, it makes them almost impossible to contain. They just carve sides open time and time again, and throw in at the back one of the best keepers in Cooper, and they look close to unbeatable at the moment. Not to mention a fine 4-1 win over MK Dons, so a little bit of revenge for the Pilgrims in that one after that horrible loss on the final day of last season. And of course, they're right up there with an S grade, and nobody is touching them in this ranking list. Spoilers for the rest of the teams. We moved to Pompey, and Pompey were up there. They were up there with an S. The last time I did these rankings, they've played 12, won 6, drawn 4, lost 2. Then in the 6 games they've played since the last time I've done rankings, they've won 2, drawn 2 and lost 2. They've slid down to 5th place from top of the league. So it's a blip. It's the first blip of the season, and let's see how Danny Cowley and the Pompey fans and players recover from this one. It is 4 without a win. The latest defeat being that very poor result and performance against Charlton Athletic. I'd say it is the worst result and performance of the season. The mistakes have started to happen at the back, and they're conceded goals from set pieces, and that has started to become a worrying regular occurrence. And they need to score more goals from open play as well. Perhaps they're missing a bit of creativity from the likes of Curtis, from the likes of Harness. Maybe that 4-4-2 is just becoming a little bit predictable, but he has had a good start to the season, Danny Cowley, so you've got to back him that he will put it right. But at the moment, they've slid from the lofty heights of an S rank to a mediocre to good B rank. Port Vale got a C last time from me. They've played 13 games, won 4, drawn 4, lost 5. Since I've done the rankings the last time, they've played 7, won 2, drawn 3, lost 2, and they sit in 17th place, and that is up from 19th place. I think Darryl Clark's doing a really good job with this valiant side. The biggest problem for Vale, like a few sides this season, is scoring goals from open play. They've only scored 4 goals so far from open play, but they are making up from that with the amount of goals they're getting from set pieces. With Ellis Harrison up front, they do have a very able goal scorer, but they're also very resilient side as well. They've come back many times from losing positions, and let's not forget the fact they've got the wonderful and talented Jack Stevens, who should be in goal for Oxford. I'll let it go one day. But Vale have been good, and if they carry on that, they should have no problem staying up this season, and I am giving Port Vale a B grade. It's another one of the heavy hitters. It is Sheffield Wednesday, and it's another side in fine form. They got an A last time from me. Played 14, won 9, drawn 2, lost 3. And since the last time we've done rankings, they've played 8, won 5, drawn 1, and lost 2. Look, it's really difficult to find a weakness in this Sheffield Wednesday side as they carry on a great start to the season. Darren Moore does have a luxury of a very strong squad, and he's doing what he normally does. He's tweaking his tactics to meet and match the opposition that he's playing against. Now, this does annoy Wednesday fans, that they don't play with a settled side and a settled formation, especially when they lose games. They do use it as a stick to beat Darren Moore with. But I think it shows the depth that they've got in their side and the power that they've got in the side, that they can hurt you in such a variety of different ways. And I just do think, especially at the back, it looks a lot stronger Sheffield Wednesday side than what we saw last season, and Hillsborough looks to be an absolute fortress this year as well. Look, they've been great. They've maybe not quite been as good, but they've still been really good, so I'm giving them another A grade. Second to last is Shrewsbury Town. I gave them a C last time out. They played 13 games, won 6, drawn 3, and lost 4. And since the last time I did rankings, they've played 7, won 5, and lost 2. Get this, they've climbed from 20th place to 8th. But a bit like Lincoln, it's a bit hard to pinpoint why they've been so successful. Maybe one of the reasons is Codrell likes to match up the sides he plays against tactically. You know, he likes to match up the formation of the side he's playing against, and that does seem to be working. Look, they're not going to win any awards for the quality of football that they play. They're a very direct side. They like to lump the ball into the box as often as they can. But they're a very well organised side, and they're very resilient. And again, you know, if you play against Shrewsbury, you're not going to have an easy game against them. They've got some very consistent performers in midfield and in defence, with the likes of Winchester, Leahy and Bayliss, and in defence with the likes of Moore, ex-Oxford United, Shea Dunkley and Flanagan in there too. I've been impressed with them. You can't not be. And they go up from a C grade to an A grade. Probably the biggest shock of the whole video. And last, and therefore least, I'm going to say it every time we come to Wycombe Wanderers. Wycombe Wanderers got a C from me last time. They've played 13 games. They've won 5, drawn 2, and lost 6. And since the last time I did rankings, they played 7, they've won 3, drawn 1, and lost 3. Look, there's nothing like a win over their bunnies. They're local rivals, not rivals. But they are absolutely their bunnies in Oxford United to reignite Wycombe's season. Wycombe are still looking and searching for a bit of consistency that they had last season, but those wins against Oxford and backing that up with an excellent 3-1 home win against Peterborough shows that they might just be starting to find it. Look, they are a hard side to play against. They don't make any game easy. And that back line of Jacobson, Mawson and Farino. Check out Mawson's assist and the Farino goal against Oxford. That centre-back to centre-back was magnificent. And we've got, you know, a very solid goalie in Streck in goal too. It's been a bit up and down, but I do think that they're starting to improve and they're going to kick on. But it is just another C grade so far for the Chairboys. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is League One, bang to rights and tier ranked once again. Probably going to be the last time I do it until New Year's Day, just after New Year's Day, probably that'll give us a nice few more games to get a real good picture of where the teams are. But I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit like. If you can, subscribe to the channel, that'd be great as well. I'll be back with some more League One content. We're going to move into November. We're going to have some World Cup content coming up soon. And as always, the usual regular torturous journey through Oxford United season. I will review every game, unless it's Pizza World Championships, right here on the channel. Thank you very much once again. I'll see you soon.